All right. That way, and then you can say more about your. If you, I don't know if you came up with a clever intro or not, but you're welcome to then do that if you did. If not, no worries. We don't require that of guests. We used to when we used to we would come up with the titles and throw that at our guests, and it didn't always work out so great to give them a fake occupation.
Sometimes they roll with it, and sometimes they're like, that's not me. What are you doing? What is going on right now? Welcome to I'd Buy That for $1, a podcast about inexpensive, common, and underappreciated records that are waiting to be rediscovered. I'm your host, Sean Hartman, still the only regular co-host whose baby does, in fact, take the morning train.
I think you're right. You live somewhere where public transportation is actually a thing.
Yeah, and necessary when you only own one car.
Valid. That's it's a rarity for us to drop a valid fake title. Well, I'm co-host Jeremy, and I accidentally signed us up for a reality TV series on Netflix.
Okay. Well, I mean, it could be good, right?
I think what he said was he signed us up for a reality series on Netflix.
Oh, why? I thought it would be promotional.
How is that an accident, though? How does one accidentally do that?
I can't get into that in public right now.
Okay.
But it's called The Big Time Podfathers.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, we're winding down. We're at the end of season 7 here. I think it's time to just sell out.
Let's fully sell out.
All right, here we go. Let's do it. Chase that money.
Podcasts are going to be big. I hear that.
Yeah, I think they're going to be bigger than books, which is unfortunate for me because I'm co-host Peter Cook, and I have finally found the time to yet again author another book.
Oh, congratulations.
Wow. We'll see how this one does. It's a musical listener memoir. It's called Time Can Take a Flight. Songs from my early childhood that I thought were oldies.
Oh.
So I could talk about songs like Just Like Starting Over by John Lennon, Uptown Girl by Billy Joel, and Morning Train 9 to 5 by Sheena Easton.
Okay.
I see. Yeah, I see.
Well, you got at least one pre-order from me, and I'm assuming Jeremy wants a few pallets shipped to his house as normal.
I'm just going to do one for posterity on this one.
One pallet or one copy?
One pallet.
Joining us today on I'd Buy That for $1 is a first-time guest, long-time listener. He is a music journalist and compilation producer based in London, UK. Welcome to the program, Adam Matera.
Hi, hello guys. It's exciting to be here. Thank you for having me. I'm glad to finally be in the real with you guys and speaking to you. It's great.
We are big fans of being in the real over here.
I don't even know what that means. I don't know. I just said that.
It's like Cheryl Lynn got to be real.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to be real. Yeah.
A fully interactive experience this time.
Yeah, that's what we've had a few other guests who are longtime listeners, first-time guests who have commented how strange it is to actually speak to us and have us be interactive.
Well, exactly. That's what I was meaning, because I've been listening to you guys like on my earphones for the last several months, and now it's kind of like you're real people talking. I love it.
Yeah. Now you can tell us right away when we get some detail wrong instead of just shouting it into the void.
Right.
Well, speaking of being real people, you selected an album and artist that I think is meant for real people, not just music nerds who go deep on things. This is an artist who the commoners probably listen to.
Yes, I guess. Yeah, I mean, and she was huge. This artist was absolutely huge in the, particularly in the 80s and going into the 90s. But the 80s was really the decade where she was one of the biggest selling. I think she was in like the top 10 biggest selling singles artists, I think, of the 80s, with female artists. So she was a huge star. She's kind of not really remembered as much as some other people from that era now.
Oh, the mystery's killing me. Who is it?
It's none other than Sheena Easton. And the album is her 1982 album, her third album, called Madness, Money, and Music.
Well, it sounds like the life she was living.
Well, I mean, actually, she did at the time when she was doing interviews around this, around the promotion of the album. She did actually make that. That was what attracted her to record that song, because it really had. She had gone from being an unknown, basically, to being an international star in a very, very short space of time. And so her whole life was basically jumping on planes, doing interviews, doing a TV show in this country, then flying to Japan, then flying to, Australia. And it was just a non-stop whirl, because she had really rocketed very quickly to global stardom in a short space of time.
All right. Well, pretty soon we'll get into the details on how this career exploded seemingly overnight. But first, let's listen to our first song. Which one should we start with?
Well, this was the lead single from the album that came out a month or so before it dropped, and it's called Machinery.
All right. Yeah. And as we noted, there are different track orders for the UK and the US release. So the US copy that I'll be playing from, this is side 1, track 1, but UK copies, I believe it's side 1, track 4.
Yeah, that's right. It's weird. I noticed this with a couple of her albums, and I think they would be edited and resequenced for the US market. So they were like her debut was the same. They were 12 tracks, but in the US they were edited down to 10 and shuffled around a bit.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's because I asked the producer, Christopher Neal, who produced the albums, about this. And I think at the time it was to do with publishing. It was something to do with publishing rights. They only wanted, in the US, they only wanted to have 10 cuts on it. And that was apparently a thing at the time. I'd never noticed it with other artists particularly, but it was a thing.
Well, you saw that with the Beatles albums, between the UK versions and then the US releases, they would have less songs on them. So there is a precedent for that, for sure.
Right. Oh, yeah, and they were EMI as well.
I knew Adam was going to be a great guest when I saw his note differentiating the track listings on each one. I was like, yes, this is the nitty-gritty I'm here for.
Exactly. All right, well, let's take a listen to Machinery, Side A, Track 1 in the U.S.
Piece of the night to be shattered. Had to believe my illusions are in tatters.
This might be just because I'm going to see this band soon and have been listening to them way too much lately. But that song in particular really resonated as similar to the band of Montreal to me.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good comparison. I hadn't thought of that.
Yeah, that kind of bright.
Oh God, I would never have thought that.
Yeah, that bright, upbeat quirkiness.
Yeah, mixed with some like kind of interesting shifty harmonies that are not like straight ahead type harmonies. They're kind of I don't know if they're modal or what exactly is going on there, but it's unique.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Thinking of contemporaries of hers, I could definitely compare this to some artists we've covered, like Lena Lovitch or Tony Basil.
Oh yeah.
I was going to say absolutely the vocals, particularly in the in the chorus, sorry, in the verses, are very Lena Lovitch, I think.
Yeah, I can definitely hear that.
Yeah, and I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but Sheena is doing all of the female backing vocals on this album as well, right?
Oh yeah, she's pretty much. There are some guys who sing as well, like Chris Neal, the producer. He's in there with her other male backing vocals, but she does all the.
Yeah,
that's all her. I think it's just it's a really odd record. I think it was. It wasn't like a huge hit, although it's very very catchy. I think maybe it was too far removed from what people had become used to from her, the kind of sound. But it was. I guess it was kind of really a reaction to like synth pop that was cut really big at the time, like Human League, Soft Cell. It was her doing a record in that like a really synth based thing, but it has weird like almost like doo wop elements with the backing vocals and that Lena Lovitch style sort of vocalization. It's a very strange but very catchy record that deserved to be a bigger hit, I think.
Yeah, I tried to listen to more of her catalog around this to kind of get an idea of where she was at with her sound. And my impression was that this is a bit of a transition album. Like her first two were a little bit more straightforward, soft rock, pop kind of thing. And this gets a lot more exploratory in the influence.
Yeah, I think it's kind of like they're definitely responding to her success in America. Because she started off as a UK-based thing and very quickly went international, and then a lot of success in America. And so there's definitely an American kind of almost yacht rocky sound on some tracks, but then also the ballads, and then also this. It's kind of doing a bit of everything.
Yeah, I heard this track, and this was the first track I listened to, and I thought, do I really know Sheena Easton? And then some of the other tracks were, I guess, at least a little more what I would expect from what I knew of her work, the little bit that I knew. Right.
Yeah. There's also actually another artist, like you said, of Montreal. I was thinking like also of an artist that was contemporary to this, like it was almost a bit Devo.
Yeah, that's one that I thought of. Anytime I hear early 80s quirky music, Devo is one of the first comparisons that my mind goes to.
Yeah. It's it's an odd record, and it kind of stands out really from the rest of it on the album, I think. But I think a really good choice for a lead single, but it obviously didn't work. It was a bit too much for the perceptions that people had of her. And I think one thing that's interesting about an artist like Sheena, and I'm sure we'll get into this, is that she is very much a singer. She's not writing the songs. She's reliant on the producers, the trends of the times. She's reacting to a certain extent, market forces. So you see over the course of her career, her really shifting, like changing shape into different types of genres and covering a whole bunch of stuff. Like 1 minute it's kind of big ballads, and then she's doing something which is a bit more country, and then she's doing something which is pretty much straight down the middle R&B and funk. And that's kind of rare that someone can pull off that much stuff so well.
That surprised me. I like to go into these records blind on my first listen if I can. I don't read anything about the artist. I just want to hear it without any context first. And one of the things I picked up on is it felt like a lot of the songs were more detailed and had more narrative than I feel like a lot of pop music will aim for like as generic as possible so everybody can relate. And I was noticing this was not really that. So I was like, oh, she must write these songs. And then was quite surprised to learn that she doesn't write them. She must just pick ones that have that quality about them, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I had read that kind of the process was that Christopher Neal, the producer, would present a handful of songs to Sheena that he thought might work for her, and then kind of gave her a lot of creative freedom to select which ones she wanted to do. So even though she's not writing, there is definitely a bit of a personal touch to which songs make it to the album.
Yeah, definitely. And by this point, she was also bringing in songs herself. I think like there's a cover which we'll play, which we'll play in a bit, a Janis Ian song that was brought in by her. She was like, I want to do this song, you know. So she was starting to. She was still very young. You got to remember, she was like 22 or something, I think, when she recorded this album. But yeah, she was bringing in the songs and choosing stuff for sure. Yeah, so she had a big say in that.
Well, yeah. So as we mentioned, Sheena Easton was one of the biggest pop stars of the 80s, but I would agree that I don't think she's really translated to younger generations. I mean, even when you selected this album, Adam, I was only really familiar with one or two songs from Sheena. I mean, I think probably my first exposure was the kind of comical use of the song Morning Train and Seinfeld. And
oh, yeah.
You know, she's definitely one of those artists where the albums are all cheap. They're easy to find. I would say, like, occasionally they're only difficult to find because some record stores that try to curate their selection wouldn't even stock her music, at least over here in the US. So I think this is a perfect selection for the podcast, an artist that I was very happy to become familiar with and kind of reassess the bias I'd been given before that.
Yeah, Sean, when I realized that there was a Seinfeld connection, when I remembered that, I thought, well, here we go again, another episode with a loose Seinfeld association.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we couldn't use a Seinfeld clip for the beginning because it's kind of a montage. There's no like dialogue to pull it from. Yeah,
it would just be playing Morning Train.
Well, I guess this is a good lead into our regular question. Jeremy and Peter, what's your history with Sheena Easton?
For me, I think I basically already stated it. Yeah, I remember the use of Morning Train in Seinfeld. I'm familiar with her name. I know a couple of her big hits, and I feel like Morning Train I've just known. It was a hit when I was born. So it's just been there my whole life, and I thought it was a much older song than it actually is. It definitely was, I think, intentionally like a throwback sound.
Mm-hmm.
With 80s production. But beyond that, I'll just say I've really enjoyed spending time with this album. The last couple days is really all I've spent with it. Initially, the production and a lot of the ballads in the production were they had that effect of being maybe sounding a little overblown or overwrought to my ears. But the more I listened, I really came around to it. I think it's a pretty solid record across the board.
Yeah, my history goes back about a week, so maybe a couple days more than Peter. But, reading about it, I was like, oh yeah, I think I've heard, a few of these songs, but never connected them to an artist or had any thoughts about Sheena. The production, I would agree at times feels like a bit much, but I think her voice carries it.
Yeah.
A lot of times that feels overwrought because the voice can't match what's going on behind it. But I think she's got enough going on there that she carries it in a lot of these cases. I can't remember if we're playing I Beg for Water, but that's the one that comes to mind immediately thinking of that.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, that is one we'll be featuring later on. And yeah, just an incredible showcase of her vocals on this album. So Adam, I know you are heavily involved with Sheena Easton. We can get into that more, but I'm curious, what's your long-term history? When did you first hear Sheena and get into her music?
Well, I think I must have. I know that it was when when I'm sure, when the Big Time aired, which was a documentary that kind of introduced her to the British public. It was,
Mm-hmm.
And I saw that and I think, oh, she's amazing. And then I heard the records, and I think because they were all over the UK radio, she had like 2 records in the top 10 within a month of that special air, the documentary airing. And so I heard it, but this was the first album by her that I actually owned, that I actually got. I just fell in love with her voice. It really was. It was the voice for me. She'd sung a song called "When He Shines" on her first album, on the Royal Command performance, and it was just her and a piano kind of vibe. It was like, wow, it wasn't the kind of pop voice you heard really from pop singers at that time. It had a certain, I guess, a little bit stagey. It was more like a Barbara Streisand kind of vibe. Although she could also do these really sort of like commercial, bouncy pop tunes and other stuff that she later went on to do. And so, yeah, I always found her really intriguing as a singer, I think. So, yeah, I was there from the beginning with Sheena, for sure.
Cool. All right, well, let's go ahead and listen to another song, and then we'll fully dive into this bio.
What's next?
So the next song is, oh my God, I can't remember what order I put them in. Is it In the Winter next?
Yes.
Yes. So this song, the next song is her cover of a classic Janis Ian track called In the Winter.
And a track we've featured before when we did the Janis Ian album, actually.
Yeah, way
right,
back.
yeah, Between the Lines. Yes,
yep.
It was on the album. Yeah, it was actually a single, I think, for Janis Ian in the wake of that 17. Great song.
Was that season 1 we covered that album?
Yeah, that was within the first few months of us doing the podcast.
Nice. Full circle. All right, well, this version is side B track 4 in the US, side B track 5 in the UK, In the Winter.
The days are okay. I watch the TV in the afternoon. When I get lonely, the sound of other voices, other rooms are near to me. I'm not afraid. The operator, she tells the time, it's good for a laugh. There's always radio, and for a dime I can talk to God, dial a prayer. Are you there? Do you care? Are you there? And in the winter, extra blankets for the cold. Fix the heater, getting on. I am wiser now, you know, but still I speak a fool concerning you. I met your friend. She's very nice, what can I say? It was an accident. I never dreamed we'd meet again this way. You're looking well, not afraid. You have a lovely home, just like a picture. No, I live alone. I found it easier. You must remember how I never liked the party life. Up all night, lovely wife. You have a lovely wife. And in the winter, extra.
I had a moment when I was previewing this album yesterday where as I was listening to that and hadn't really yet reviewed the track list, where I thought, this sounds very familiar. And then it hit the chorus and I thought, this is a Janis Ian song. I remember this I'm pretty sure we covered this song when we did that album way back. And sure enough, we did, as we established. But I'll say, the fact that the first song that we listened to, we talked about that having a bit of a Lena Lovitch feel. And now here we are with a Janis Ian cover. I feel like that's quite a range just between those two songs for one singer to be able to tackle, but I really feel like Sheena makes them their own, whereas, we talked about Maria Muldaur, how she's a very good mimic of other singers, whereas I don't really feel that Sheena's doing that here. I think she is interpreting them her own way.
Yeah, she does a great job of making it her own, and Often my ears tend to reject these sort of highly produced piano-driven ballads, but man, when Sheena does it, it's just like fist pumping every time the vocals really kick in, like she just elevates it all.
So, Sean, does this mean that you can finally appreciate Wind Beneath My Wings?
I'm getting there.
She does a pre-Bette Midler version of that song on this album too.
Yeah, good version.
Yeah, great version actually. I think better than Bette Midler. I prefer it to Bette. But if you listen to End of the Winter and compare it to Janice Ian's, Janice is, of course, the writer, and she has her own interpretation. It's wonderful. And they're both great. But Sheena's phrasing and her kind of the way she inhabits the lyric is really, it's markedly different from Janice's. It kind of brings out a different quality of the song. It's more bitter in a way, actually. Sheena's, I think, it's more. There's an anger to it, and she could really inhabit a ballad. I mean, that's one of her greatest strengths, I think, as a singer. But like you say, she can do these, turn on a dime and do these different things. One of the accolades that she kind of earned over her career was that she became the first artist ever to have a top 3 Billboard hit in all the dance chart, the R&B chart, the adult contemporary chart, the pop chart, and the country chart. So she had commercial success in all these different genres. And I think it was that adaptability, to be able to adapt like that and be believable and still retain your own character as a singer and your identity as a singer. Not many people can do that,
Yeah, and she won a Grammy for a Spanish language album.
Oh yeah, she did that as well. Yeah,
the range is incredible.
yeah, that's right. She did. I forgot about that one. My God, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so a few parallels maybe to Linda Ronstadt then.
Yeah, yep, a good comparison for sure.
Yes, that's right. Because Linda did it all, didn't she? She did like kind of Spanish albums and country, and
opera.
Yeah, bit of R&B.
Yeah,
Did the odd like Smokey Robinson cover. Yeah, she did it. Yeah, she's a great singer.
All right, well, let's start at the beginning with Sheena. She was born Sheena Shirley Orr on April 27th, 1959 in Scotland. Her father died when she was young. He died in 1969, leaving her mother to raise Sheena and her 5 siblings all by herself. She started singing at a pretty early age. Her first performance was at age 5, however, it was just for the family. She wasn't doing any professional singing. In fact, she didn't even consider a professional singing career until age 14. So I think this passes the Jeremy test.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Jeremy started kind of chuckling and smiling when you defensively threw that up there.
Yeah. Don't hate Jeremy.
It was just for the family. It was a living room concert.
Yeah. There's no exploitation happening here.
Love to hear it.
Sheena famously credits a Barbra Streisand film, The Way We Were, as being kind of the moment where she decided she wanted to sing professionally. Barbra was a longtime big inspiration to her singing.
Yeah, that felt pretty evident as well in listening to this. Yeah.
Sheena received a scholarship to the Royal Scottish Academy of Music and Drama in Glasgow, and she studied there from 1975 to 1979. Her intent initially was to be a teacher. She kind of assumed that teaching would be how she earned a living, and maybe she could kind of perform at small clubs on the weekend. But that's not how it ended up. She married Sandy Easton in 1979. They were divorced after 8 months, but she decided to keep the last name throughout her career.
Yeah, Easton versus Orr.
Yeah, it works.
Yeah.
So as we said, her actual career kind of started pretty quickly. The same year that she graduated, she auditioned for the BBC show The Big Time, which was an early reality TV show. The idea was that every episode, a different amateur was given a shot at the professional version of their respective field. So there was like a chef, a seamstress, wrestler, gymnast, and Sheena Easton was the amateur singer. So they...
Amateur.
Yeah, right. At the time. So at age 19, she was given a shot to achieve fame on the episode. So they gave her a professional photo shoot. She was advised by stars like Dorothy Squires, Lulu, and previously discussed Dusty Springfield. And then she was paired with producer Christopher Neal to record one single. That song was her first track, Modern Girl. And they released it before the episode of The Big Time aired. From what I understand, it was kind of a minor hit, peaked at number 56 in the UK. But then once the episode of The Big Time aired in July 1980, everything took off pretty quickly. Her second single, 9 to 5, later retitled Morning Train to not be confused with Dolly Parton, that became a top 10 hit. And then Modern Girl was kind of re-released, and she had top 10 hits of 2 songs at the same time, all of a sudden. So a pretty instant rise to fame.
It's interesting. When I was talking to Christopher Neal about this period, the EMI initially were quite reluctant to come on board with this whole idea. We were approached by the BBC going, we're doing this show and we want this girl. And they were like, I don't know. So people didn't really, it's such a different time, because later, of course, TV and pop music was a huge, 20 years after this with American Idol, it was a whole different world. At this time, they couldn't really see the benefit or the connection. They hadn't quite yet figured out how if you put television and pop music and also fashion, I suppose, because she also became like a very sort of pin-up kind of person and was photographed, those elements together would really be conducive to making a star. And it could have happened with this, but it was EMI were skeptical about it, about the possibility of it, but it became an overnight success, essentially.
Yeah, and from my understanding, she was really the only person featured on The Big Time to really achieve a high level of fame as a result of the episode.
Yeah, because the other ones, I think it was like a stand-up comic, and you mentioned some of the others, a jockey. They weren't necessarily doing, because it wasn't like a talent show, really. It was just like an hour documentary following someone in their profession trying to make it. But she, I guess her ability, her demeanor in the thing was she was very likable. And so although she was being given advice, and someone's being given quite negative, like Lulu's manager basically says to her, yeah, I think you're really boring, and you can't really, you're not a great singer, and you're quite nice looking, I suppose, but you're never going to make it.
Yeah, so, the advice was like, you should become a TV star, not a singer, or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. It's quite harsh. And she takes it all well and comes across as very likable, but quite determined, quite steely in a way. And of course, you hear the songs, One Girl, throughout the episode. So by the end of the hour, this was at a time, of course, when there were only 3 TV channels in Britain as well. So that like people watching their millions. And then literally the next week all went out and bought the single. So, it was quite it was a brand new phenomenon, really, of the idea of doing it this way.
Yeah, very interesting, and not a path to fame that we've encountered very much on this show, or really at all. I don't think anybody else is a reality TV star and then a pop sensation.
No, that's just not really that wasn't happening in the time frame that we tend to cover based on the criteria of our show.
Yes,
right.
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, the very quick fame in the second half of 1980, and then 1981 really continued to explode. It was a big year. She had the 2 huge hits, released her debut album Take My Time in January of 1981, and then her sophomore album You Could Have Been With Me in September. Both of those were produced by Christopher Neal. And she also recorded the theme song for the James Bond film For Your Eyes Only. An interesting note, to date, she is the only artist to be seen singing in the theme song during the opening credits of a Bond film.
Yeah, usually you don't see the singer. It's there's other things going on.
Yep, just Sheena.
I mean, that was also quite nuts as well, because the kind of people that did Bond themes up until then, it was like Paul McCartney, Shirley Bassey, like Tom Jones, names that were like well-established, long legacy artist type people, not someone who had just had their first hit, really. And so she went from the TV show airing in Britain to like relatively about 6 months later, she was number one in America with 9 to 5, Morning Train as it was called then. And then she gets offered Bond. So it always happened within the first year.
Yeah, and the getting the Bond theme was kind of a bit of extraordinary luck for her. In fact, Blondie had recorded a theme song, had been commissioned to record the theme song, and then that song was rejected. And Bill Conti, who did the music for the film, said that he wrote the theme song that was used thinking that it was either going to go to Donna Summer or Dusty Springfield, but the studio suggested, why not bring in this hot new talent, Sheena Easton? And there it is.
Yeah, I think he was quite skeptical at first because he didn't know who she was. But then when he heard her sing, because I think he heard Morning Train and wasn't convinced by that vocally she could do it. But then once he properly heard her sing and understood, it was like, oh yeah, that's fine. She can handle it.
Yeah, 9 to 5 is a pretty straightforward pop song. Not really a showcase for her voice.
Sure, yeah. So then that brings us to the album we're featuring today. Her third album came out September 1982. And interestingly, it was kind of less of a success than the other two. And in some ways, when this came out, it could have been seen that maybe her career was a flash in the pan, already starting to fall apart. But it didn't last long. She rebounded pretty quickly in 1983 with that previously mentioned country hit. Top 10 hit, We've Got Tonight, a duet with Kenny Rogers, which was a song written by Bob Seger, and it had also previously been covered by Richie Havens, interestingly enough.
I think that was very calculated. It was quite a calculated move, really, on behalf of EMI, because this album didn't really perform the way that they'd wanted it to. And I think maybe because it's a little bit older than she was. You know, some of the music on here she was making could have been recorded by someone who was twice her age, you know. Not that it's not good, but commercially, maybe that wasn't sitting right. They decided, her label mate, Kenny Rogers, who had lots of hit duets with women at that point, and was a really being played on pop radio, country radio. Let's do this hit duet. Let's do this cover. And those superstar duet things was a real big thing at the time, because you'd had like Dinah Ross and Lionel Richie with Endless Love, and you know, a few years before that, Barbra Streisand, Donna Summer. The idea of combining two stars together and having was a sort of device that was used, a strategy used by labels at the time, and it worked so straight away, and it got her back in the charts, and then she was back on her way after that, really.
Yeah, and that's still one of her most listened to songs on streaming services. I was returning to that one actually quite a bit while getting ready for this. That song really grabbed me. And it's weird because like we've been saying, like nothing about the production or songwriting on that feels like something that I should be into, but I just instantly was like, man, I love this. I mean, I'm not supposed to, or like a younger version of myself would have hated it. But again, her vocals, undeniable.
That was a duet.
Yeah, We've Got Tonight.
Yeah, I knew that song as a Bob Seger song forever and only listened to this version earlier today, actually. And it's really stark how good her vocals are when put right next to Kenny Rogers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they have that sort of like leather and lace, satin, and the contrast really works well, I think.
Yep.
Because she's like soaring above him, basically. It's mad.
All right, well, let's go ahead and listen to another track from the album. This one also has a bit of a country legacy, written by singer-songwriter Deborah Allen. We're going to hear the song You Do It. This is Side B, Track 5 in the US version, Side B, Track 4 in the UK.
You don't have to try to keep me satisfied. You do it. Look what you have done. You're the only one who can take me away. When you can't be mad, I spend all my time just waiting till you come back around. 'Cause no one else have found can do it the way you do it. Tell me when you love me. When I need to feel the way I love to feel, you do it. Yes, you do. I can't live without the way that you know how to do it. Tell me, what did I do right to get you in my life where I need you to stay? Times it almost seems I've stepped into a dream.
So we're getting into R&B territory with that one, further expanding the variety on this album.
Yeah, definitely. That was like a very tasteful. It was a feel good kind of vibe to it.
Yeah, still kind of a mellow, almost ballad, but just so funky.
Yeah, it's great. They were actually considering this too. Unfortunately, it was going to be a single at one point, but they didn't. Because the first couple who hadn't really performed they wanted. They didn't put it out, but it was literally earmarked for singles. It's really catchy. Really, yeah, has that sort of easygoing country R&B-ish feel. It was a song that loads of people recorded as well, but no one had a big hit with it. Rita Coolidge did it. Diana Ross did it after Sheena, actually. Brilliant song. It's a great song. She handles it really well.
All right, well, let's dive back into the bio for just a little bit here. Coming into 1984, she's continued to expand her audience. Like we said, she released an album sung entirely in Spanish and then began collaborating with Prince. Kind of a long-standing collaboration, actually. They became quite close friends, to my knowledge. He wrote her song Sugar Walls on the album A Private Heaven. Mm-hmm. And then famously, this song and video were banned on some stations after Tipper Gore listed it as one of her filthy 15.
Yeah. Yeah, that's, now that you're saying that, that's, I think, primarily how I knew her name was when I was really getting into Frank Zappa when I was 19 years old and reading a lot about him and him going up against the PMRC that Tipper Gore put together. Mm-hmm. That was definitely one of the songs or names that I remember being brought up a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, Sheena also sings on the song You Got the Look and is featured in the Sign of the Times concert film. And Adam, I believe you have the distinction of being probably the only guest on this show who's actually spoken to Prince in person before.
Oh my God, yes. Yeah, I did actually have around the time the Gold, mid-90s it would have been, when the Gold Experience came out. He finally started to do interviews, and I remember going backstage to Wembley Arena to meet him. That was quite the experience.
Yeah, it would have been.
It was when he was going by his name for Symbol, so you couldn't call him by his name, and you couldn't record the interview. You had to just listen and then go outside and write it all down. So it was like really intense, but kind of amazing. Like meeting Prince is like meeting a unicorn or something.
Yeah. Right.
yeah, that's wild. My mother one time was in the Minneapolis airport, and a short man came running past her, and she heard someone yell, "That's Prince," and then a whole crowd followed around her past him, and she's like, "Oh my goodness!" She didn't really get a good look at him. She's wondering what's going on, and she realized that Prince had just run past her at the airport.
Wow.
Yeah, not many people, I think, really, and as it was hard to get close to him, let alone then there were usually all these stipulations. Don't look him in the eyes. Mm-hmm. Don't record it. But it's incredible that you had that experience.
Oh my God, yeah, it was amazing. Yeah, we didn't discuss Sheena though, but on that occasion, but yeah, that was amazing. It was when I was doing lots of interviews with different people at that time.
Yeah, there was actually a lot of like tabloid reporting that Sheena and Prince were in a romantic relationship, something that she repeatedly denied. But I saw in an interview her saying that she felt like she was one of the rare people who actually got to know Prince as a real person, and that, like, a lot of the reputation as being this enigmatic weirdo was kind of an act for the most part, and she got to actually know the person behind all that. Yeah, they collaborated on quite a few things over the years.
Yeah, they never did a whole album together as such, but yeah, but there was a bunch of there were songs they wrote together as well for other. She did do a little bit of, not much, but she did occasionally do writing, and with him she did some. She did a song that Patti LaBelle covered, and they wrote together, and yeah, it was ongoing. They did a great duet on his Batman soundtrack called "The Arms of Orion" as well. But she was like, at that point, after those first 3 albums with Christopher Neal, and she was basically relocated in America by then. Her success was really mainly in America and also Japan and other parts of the world as well. But America was her base, and so it was all like American producers. So Prince, a guy called Greg Matheson, who had done Laura Branigan, and Tony Basil, who you mentioned earlier. He did her, and then Nile Rodgers, Narada Michael Walden. They were all kind of big American, really kind of R&B style producers.
Narada Michael Walden's right here, from here, Kalamazoo area.
Oh, right, of course. Yes, I guess. Yes, I did know that, actually, yes.
So yeah, once we get into the 90s, Sheena's career kind of slows down. She becomes not quite as popular and very intentionally started stepping back from fame. I mean, she had such an intense, quick career and was just so busy and in demand throughout the 80s that I think she was kind of trying to make her career a little bit more manageable and do things on her own terms. I mean, she kept releasing a lot of music and performing live. She had a casino residency, but she's been semi-retired for quite a while. Her final album, Fabulous, came out in 2000, and she's very selective about the shows that she plays at this point. She also, during the 80s and 90s, started crossing over into acting. She's on a handful of episodes of Miami Vice. She's on the It's Gary Shandling Show, Highlander the series, did some voice acting, including the animated series Gargoyles, and she's in one of the segments on John Carpenter's 1993 Body Bags.
Yeah, I think that, her intentionally stepping back from fame, and I think she'd had some, being very young and thrust into the spotlight, and being pretty much like quite a young girl and dealing with lots of men record producers and male record execs. I think it wasn't the easiest time for her necessarily, and I think some of that was quite difficult. Next to, and at the same time dealing with all the fame and all the running around and not being able to have a family or really have a life. She wanted other things, but her stepping away from the spotlight in a very determined way was partly why I think today other people from that era, like say Cyndi Lauper or certainly Madonna, of course, but a lot of the other names from that time, even say Belinda Carlisle, it was later in the 80s, you hear their names and you see them, they have some, they're still known, but Sheena really hasn't been, really is kind of forgotten because of that, I think, because she, stepped away.
Yeah. And, in some ways, I think she really enjoys that. I saw her saying a lot that 99% of the time she's able to be in public and leave her house and not be mobbed by fans, and often just goes completely unrecognized. And she really appreciates being able to do that. She also adopted 2 children in the mid-90s, so she had a big focus on raising her kids. And also nowadays, she is a big gamer, interestingly enough. She said she plays at least an hour or 2 every day, and 2 of her favorites are World of Warcraft and Ghosts of Tsushima.
Oh, wow. WOW, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, Adam, when you first messaged about coming on and had proposed talking about Sheena, and I got the understanding that your music journalism and compilation producer aspects of your career, I Googled your name, and lo and behold, it came up with Sheena Easton's name attached to it.
Oh, did it? Right. Okay.
So
Well,
you,
yes.
you've clearly been involved with some of her work.
Yeah, well, what like 10 years ago or so, or a little bit, maybe more, 12 years ago, I started like really doing this work as a compilation producer. There's a label in the UK called Cherry Red that I do stuff for, and reissuing sometimes on vinyl, mainly on CD, like albums that are out of print or haven't been, or finding rare tracks and putting together things. And I've done quite a load of them. I did a lot with Wendy and Lisa to begin with. That was one of the first ones. Wendy and
Mhm.
Lisa from Prince and the Revolution, and I'll do like Valerie Carter and Layla Hathaway. But then a few years ago, got the license to do Sheena Easton's EMI catalogue, of which this album is part. And so over the last few years, I've been doing a lot of Sheena Easton re-releases and finding unreleased tracks in the vaults, and in collaboration with her and her management. And yeah, and it's been amazing, actually. It's been really exciting to do it because I've had access to everything in the vaults.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what you dream of when you're doing these kind of compilation stuff. You can get the tapes and get them digitized and then listen to all like the 12 different vocal takes from a song and blah, blah, blah. And I must say that's one of the things. And then, of course, also I write the line notes and speak to the producers and songwriters and so on. And one of the things that really was apparent from speaking to them was her as a vocalist. She was always, on tune. And this was before they could auto-tune, before studio technology. You had to be a singer. You had to be on time. You had to get the rhythm right. You had to get the notes right. And when you listen to some of those songs, like usually they'll maybe say 8 takes of a track on the master. It's incredible hearing her because it's like they could have released any of these because she's always so good. And she'd put different interpretations on different lines in different takes. And you realize what a phenomenal vocalist she really was and is.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, ultimately, that's what spending time with this album that really stood out above everything else about it was her voice. It really it pulls you in.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, she's got that. Yeah, she's special as a singer. Yeah.
Well, Sean,
Yes.
when I say well, Sean, that should trigger something for you.
It seems familiar, but I'm curious where you're going to go with this.
I want some recommended similar albums, Sean.
Oh, right. Of course. Well, I actually only wrote down one today, not because I've forgotten, Peter.
Wow.
But
I'm the police.
Adam actually has some really good suggestions, so I'm going to be handing most of this segment over to him. But real quick, I just had one that I thought of that was maybe not a straight one-to-one comparison. It leans more into the jazz and R&B sound, but there's some similarities. 1981's Every Home Should Have One by Patty Austin. It's a Quest Records release produced by Quincy Jones and Rod Temperton and features her biggest hit, which was kind of a ballad duet with James Ingram, Baby Come to Me.
That's a great album. I love that album.
Yeah, definitely one that we should feature on the show at some point.
Yeah, great singer as well, Paddy Austin. Absolutely. Well, I had a couple. The one I immediately thought of was Olivia Newton-John's Physical.
Oh, that's so funny. I've just been listening to that album a lot and am planning to feature it next season at this point. And I definitely did think that I think part of my ability to appreciate this album was having spent some time with that album recently.
Oh, really? Yeah, interesting.
Yep.
Well, because I think that Olivia was a huge star at the time. Of course, she had just had the song "Physical" was massive in 1981, the year before this album came out. And I think this is that pre-Madonna world for pop singers, for female pop singers. And what Olivia did in that album was it was a bit more sexually assertive, a bit more sexually upfront, which is something you have on this album as well. There's a song called "Are You Man Enough," which is on Mouse Money Music. And I think it marked a change for a turning point in a way for how female pop singers were presenting themselves. So I think there's that similarity with this. And some of the songs that Olivia does, Sheena could have done those songs. It's a similar vibe.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was thinking of a Lulu album, because Lulu, of course, another short Scottish singer with a big voice, and she had an album, just a self-titled album in 1981, which had a big hit in America called "I Could Never Miss You," which has that similar sort of easygoing pop R&B sound to the song we heard you do it, a sort of soulfulness that she shares with Sheena, I think. And of course, they have those other things in common. They both did Bond themes.
Right.
Lulu's manager slagged off Sheena at the beginning of her career, and then she ended up. So there's a few Lulu Sheena crossovers. Interestingly, the last big thing Sheena did was on the West End in the UK. She did 42nd Street, and the person that took over from her, that was about 10 years ago, the person that took over from her as in the lead was Lulu. So they've had this ongoing, interesting parallel. Then I was thinking of Melissa Manchester, because she had an album called Hey Ricky the same year as this. And again, it has these nods towards new wave. She had a big hit called You Should Hear How He Talks About You. You should hear how she talks about you, I think. Sorry. And she's doing like new wave stuff, but she's also doing like a Gershwin cover. So there's a range. She's also a very dramatic singer. She shares that with Sheena, Melissa Manchester. So then Arif Mardin produced the album. It's a great album. And the final suggestion I had, I was going to do a Kiki D album, but then I thought, actually, the Diana Ross album that came out the year after this is quite a good one to mention, because she did an album produced by Gary Katz, who's most famous for working with Steely Dan. And it's very much a sort of adult contemporary West Coast sounding album. Michael McDonald wrote one of the songs, for example. Great album, really didn't sell, probably her least best-selling album of the era. And again, it had a lead single that was very new wave called Pieces of Ice. So it was like that kind of trying to appeal to that new sound, but also doing a whole middle-of-the-road American soft rock thing, similar to some of the tracks on here. So yeah, Ross by Diana Ross.
Very cool.
All right. Excellent suggestions. And yeah, some ones that were off my radar. I was kind of skimming through them, getting ready for this, and all excellent albums. Looking forward to listening to those more in the future.
Well, before we get out of here, Adam, did you have anything? It sounds like you're up to a lot. Do you have anything that you'd like to plug for our listeners to check out?
Well, I guess the main one, the most relevant one, is that like I've just put out this new, which I think might be the last thing of the Sheena campaign. Certainly the last thing for now. It is like the singles box set. So I've just done like a 25 disc box set, 25 disc box set of all her singles from this era, with all the B-sides and all the 12-inch mixes and unreleased versions and stuff. It's massive box with all in individual picture sleeves and picture discs, and so that's quite an affair. And that's literally just come out.
Was that on Cherry Red?
Yeah, on Cherry Red, yeah. So it's all her EMI singles from this era, from like 1980 to 1987.
Yeah, and I saw that some of the reissues you worked on have like re-entered the Scottish album charts.
Yeah, that was that was amazing to me. Yeah, some of the Sheena albums actually re-entered the chart. I guess she still has a fan base there, you know? So that was exciting.
Yeah, it's cool to see.
Yeah, it's nuts.
I mean, now that we featured her on I'd Buy That for $1, there's gonna be like, the top 10 is gonna be just full of her songs now.
Oh yeah, easily.
It's gonna happen.
That sure. Bump. Well, we thank you. This is incredible. So happy to have you on as a guest for the first time, and we'll definitely do this again sometime.
Oh, brilliant. Yeah, I'd love to. Absolutely would love to. I've loved it. Thank you.
Well, what else is left? We should mention, of course, that you can support the program over on Patreon, patreon.com/I'd Buy That podcast. We have many, many bonus episodes that you can listen to over there. Help us out. Keep things going. Keep bringing you the bargain bin classics.
Yeah, we've been recording some fun episodes lately. We did the disco single Murphy's Law, and before that we got into the history of the novelty song Menomina.
Mm-hmm.
Been having some fun with it. So yeah, check us out on Patreon and get the full I'd Buy That for $1 catalog.
Well, what's left as far as this album? What are we going out on?
Well, the last song was actually the biggest hit, really, for me. It's "I Wouldn't Beg for Water," and it's another. It was a top 20 adult contemporary hit for her in America, which was like a big fan of her. Adult contemporary was a place where she got played a lot, especially for the ballads, of course. And this one was written by Mike Leeson and Peter Vale, who had written. They wrote a lot of her early hits, and it's just a great, big, dramatic ballad that she sings the hell out of.
Yeah, it's a song that like keeps getting better as it goes. She just like keeps elevating her vocal delivery throughout the song. It's incredible. Maybe my favorite on the album.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's one that you won't get the full experience. I mean, this is true of any song that we feature, but since we don't play the full songs, you'll want to go check out the full song and the full album.
True.
To get the full experience here. Yeah, I definitely once I took this one all in, I was blown away. I think that's about the time that I went back and listened to the whole album again and got it.
Oh, great. Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. This song, she loved this song. She started singing this song in concert way before the album came out, actually, because she loved it so much.
Well, we'll go out on that song, and we thank you, listeners. And Adam, it's been a pleasure. This is I'd Buy That for $1, signing off. I'm co-host Peter Cook.
I'm co-host Jeremy.
I'm co-host Sean Hartman.
And I'm guest Adam Matera.
Thanks, Adam.
Thank you.
I make friends, I make enemies. It doesn't matter all that much to me. I'm not the kind who deals behind the scenes. I won't sell my soul, I'd be nothing without some integrity. I wouldn't beg for water, I wouldn't beg for water. If my soul was on fire, that's the last thing I would ever do. I wouldn't beg for water, I wouldn't beg for water. If my soul was on fire, but I'd get down on my knees for you. I've got pride, it's not the foolish kind. Don't owe people favors, that's my peace of mind. I don't know why I deserve someone like you, but you're my one and only sole exception to all my rules. I wouldn't beg for water,